Live.
I love it. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
So, how was your holidays? We'll get into the sleep and the resetting soon, but
Yeah, I mean,
overall,
it was lovely. I had lots of time with friends and family, mostly family. We ended up kind of cloistering ourselves away because we ended up with a Christmas cold. But before that, I got to see some family, which are some friends, which was nice. And yeah, we had good food and lots of downtime.
oh, good. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'd love to know, everybody, how much downtime you got. One of the things that I've
Yeah.
noticed, yeah, one of the things that I noticed is that even like a week ago, before we even got to New Year's, I was like, craving to get into a routine, to get into a schedule. I was kind of all over the place with different things,
Yeah.
people. I did a holiday market I've never done before, but with my book. And so that was a lot of work that I didn't anticipate I'd be doing. But overall, seeing people and fortunately I've been healthy and just all the different neighborhoods that have lights, and I love Christmas music, uh and just also some of the little pageants that the little ones do are hilarious. Because you have the one with the dress, that's not that's pulled up, and the little boy who is just like standing there wondering, why am I here? And then four kids are waving to everybody in the audience. And now those are things that really delight me during the holidays.
My friend has been in a Christmas dance recital for years now. I mean, like probably 10 years. They do the same program. She is in the adult tap class. So there's like a little tiny section for the adult tap class, and they basically do the same routine every year, occasionally adding slightly more complicated steps to it. But everyone else is like, I mean, besides the one adult class, it's like all youth dancers, and it is a hoot to attend. It
I
is,
know, it's
it's all
great.
of that.
Well, it is at the top of the hour. So
It is, and we're live on Facebook. I got us
good.
on. I'm gonna say hi to everybody here.
Yeah,
Hello.
hello everyone. And Helen and I, of course, we spend some time prepping and thinking about what would be best to serve you. And like I was saying, I was ready to get back into my routine, and hopefully everybody else is wanting to be healthy and sleep well. And so, yeah, what things are you reestablishing, or maybe new established habits?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. I know for me, I have reset my alarms. So like, we don't do alarms all the time during the holiday season, or like when I'm sick, it's like, I'm just in bed sleeping when I need to sleep, eating when I need to eat, kind of just listening to my body. But in order to be a productive and, contributing member of society, getting my school to kid on time, or my kid to school on time, we've had to reset all of our alarms, which also means resetting my alarms for getting ready for bed and making sure that I'm starting my evening routine at an appropriate time to get me in bed and have my 8 hour window for rest.
Or whatever time that is. And I agree. I mean, there's so many different activities, or there's that one little movie you want to still watch, or whatever.
Hmm.
And I found myself too, it was like 10 o'clock, then it'd be 11 o'clock, just kept creeping up. Then I would still want to do some of the things that I would do in the evening. So now it's midnight. Sometimes it would be 1 o'clock. And one time I went down this rabbit hole that it was like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm watching YouTube. So anyway, I think that you're right. Reestablish Reestablishing the evening routine, if you don't have one, or maybe even just revisiting and saying, what would happen if I did start to wind down a half an hour before, or turn off the TV, or readjust so that I'm eating earlier, eh, so that
Right.
you can support that earlier to bed. And then don't get on the device in the bed, because I was doing that.
Yeah, I use my alarms to wake my phone to wake me up. But one of the things that I did last night that I remembered doing from before, and I was like, oh, I need to get back in this habit, is I plugged my phone in by my nightstand. And then I started it playing on my little Bluetooth speaker, my wind down music for the evening. And I took the speaker with me into the bathroom, but it does not have a display. It does not have anything I can scroll through. So I did my, bathroom routine with my wind down music, but I wasn't tempted by the screens. And it was a lot
Mhm.
more relaxing.
That is a great suggestion. Thank you. Yeah, and let's talk about habits, which is
Yes.
part of this too. And so I know that, in fact, I was listening to this amazing astrologer, I think Molly McCord, and she was saying that because we're born different times of the year and because of astrology, which I don't understand all of it, and there's so much to understand, but she was saying that your expression of who you are is not necessarily suited for resolutions or goals or things like that. And so I thought the tiny habits that you and I talked about of just incorporating those healthy lifestyles as well as sleep hygiene is a nice way to incorporate into, and it's like you already are brushing your teeth hopefully before you go to bed. So what could you do that would support your sleep that you could attach to that habit?
Yeah, if you have affirmations, it's such a nice time to do your affirmations. Or if you need a little bit of physical engagement before you wind down in the evening, I know there are lots of people that benefit from just working on balance. And it's a pretty easy space to work on balance or using the opposite side of your body if you just like switch the hand that you're brushing your teeth with and use the opposite foot and just like lift the other leg up. And so now you're doing a little balancing exercise while you're brushing your teeth. If you're easily bored when you brush your teeth, as I sometimes am, I'm like borderline on that. Like I get bored easily. I need lots of stimulation. It's like, oh, I can get through the full 2 minutes of brushing my teeth if every, 30 seconds or so I switch my position and switch out the hand and like it's a little bit like patting your belly and rubbing your head or whatever the opposite
Right,
thing
right.
is.
Well, and the nice thing about incorporating healthy habits is that's really how we introduce positive changes that can impact in a bigger way. I always say it's the small changes that lead to that big impact when it comes to behavior. The other thing too is that if you look at, like, when I was on my book trip, when you look at your schedule, where can you insert a breath work when you're driving? Or when I was on the book tour, this gentleman was telling me that he has to be up at 4 a.m. and he's tired when he gets home, but he's got to pick the kids up from school and get them going with their homework and a snack and then dinner and all of that. And so I said, well, do you know anything about a restorative pose? Like, and he said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I said, I wonder if that would be something that could be one, fun for the kids, or maybe it's just that 5 minutes before you go pick them up when you get home and you're changing your clothes and you're getting ready for that next surge of activity. Here's what you could do. And it could be the breath work too. So maybe just review your day and your hours and what's in front of you, and then incorporating while you're driving, maybe turn off and not have any sound, or maybe put on some calming music, or maybe do a restorative pose. So there's some things like that that we wanted to share with everybody too.
Yeah, and I love that we've been talking about resetting your intentions because for me, some of that is just remembering like, okay, what am I actually prioritizing, right? There's so many things in front of me, so many things that could pull me in different directions. Maybe so many things that I would sort of rather be doing because they're easy, but my intentions were to get some of these harder things done. Um, And so that idea of taking a moment, even if it's just like at the stoplight in the car, to take that breath in, breathe that love out, and just remember that you're doing as best you can to get to your priorities and what those priorities are. And if you do that at, noon, and again, like when you're on your way to lunch, or, after work, or whatever it is, or, that you, wherever you build those little breaks in, even if they're micro moments, this 30 seconds, that helps you train your brain to be like, these are my priorities and the things I care about. And so I'm going to do the things that I need to do to get them done.
Yes.
And
And then when you're in stressful situations, you've already established that habit. You know to take a deep breath. You
yeah,
know, okay, I'm getting that afternoon slump. I need to do a restorative pose, or I need to get outside in nature or get some fresh air, right? Because you're doing it while you're in a intentional, healthy state. So that's another big one. Thank you for mentioning that, because then it establishes that routine or that tool for when you really, really need it. And you might normally forget it or go for the coffee or go for the sugar. And then now your sleep routine, I mean, just then
yep,
you go that slippery slope. And then I think the other thing that you and I were talking about is giving yourself permission and giving yourself grace.
that grace is so important, because it would be wonderful if the only 2 weeks out of the year are the that you ever fall off your intentions bandwagon were the last 2 weeks that we just had. And then like the entire year you're like a machine on it. But that is not how humans work. Like you were saying, the astrologer says like how we were born and where we are in our life and what season and chapter we're at. Like that's not going to happen. And so there's going to be times throughout the year where you're going to fall off the bandwagon. And the more you give yourself grace, not to say that like it doesn't matter, because your intentions and your priorities do matter. You're just giving yourself the grace so that if you're a perfectionist mindset, like a type A personality, the way I can be, that it doesn't mean that you've completely failed and there's no reason to try, like never to try again. Like it means, okay, you fell off the bandwagon, and like the faster you get up on there and give yourself grace for having slipped, the sooner you get back to the right place that you want to be, or closer to it, than if you feel like it's an all or nothing proposition.
Yeah. And I think that's what can lead people to feeling discouraged,
Hmm.
depressed, and then again, we can kind of slide down that slippery slope. So hopefully these are some suggestions and tips and ideas, or even just the magic wand of giving yourself grace, and you are responsible for your health and your life. So, and it's so interesting. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've been noticing that there's a lot of like videos and little interviews being done with people in their 80s and 90s. And the question is that what would you tell your younger self? What is most important in your life? And hands down, they all say, do everything you can to stay healthy. As you age, it gets even more challenging. So, if you can establish these health habits, especially sleep, because sleep is vital for everything, then it's going to help in your longevity.
And like, yeah, your mental acuity. I mean, for me, one of the reasons why I started prioritizing sleep was without it, I was in a fog. If I wasn't careful about my sleep, I couldn't handle pressured situations. I couldn't, like, my brain just didn't function the way that I was used to
Right.
functioning in my 20s, let's say. And I'm in my 40s now. And so I'm not seeing as many of those cool videos that you're seeing with the 80-year-olds, but I am excited that somehow the algorithms have found me as a woman in my mid 40s and are starting to feed me the very little amount of content that there is out there about perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
exactly.
has, those
Big
folks
thing.
have also been saying like, you gotta you cannot treat your body the same way because your body's different. It functions differently. You have different hormones going on. And obviously, I'm not a medical professional, but I feel that happening in my own body. And it's nice to have other people resonate and say, yep, you have to prioritize your sleep. You have to prioritize your body's movement and strength, and that, will all connect in the end so that
Right.
you have a
And
longer
there's
life, hopefully.
Yeah, and there's so many things that can support that. Let's do another one on menopause because I've been through that already. And you're right, in different stages. I mean, people that are in their 60s, like I am, are talking about, although we're all ageless, they're all talking
It's
about
just a number, but it
it's the
also
number.
has some things that go with it.
Right. And so they were people complain about having to get up and in the middle of the night. And they're like, well, it's just my age. I'm like, no, I don't have to do that. So I'm not giving you power in that. So
So
yeah,
now we're going to tease we'll do that sometime in the spring, maybe.
yeah, let's talk about different ages and what some suggestions would be for that too. So I mean, we've got some other things. We'll put it in the show notes about humming and some other suggestions too. Is there anything else, Helen, before we say?
Oh, yeah, no, I love to talk about that humming. Like, let's actually take a second to really get on that because that idea of sound and producing sound to give yourself a little bit of calm, especially if you're not in a space where you can necessarily blast your own tunes for whatever reason. Um, I love that idea, and that idea of resonating the sound in your own body and helping to use that to regulate. It's not really a technique for falling asleep, but it's a great technique for self-soothing and calming as you're getting ready to, reset your routine and make yourself more open to that falling asleep moment.
Yeah, so humming is scientifically what it does is it affects your nervous system, but sound, any kind of sound really affects us. So humming while you're washing the dishes, making the bed, anytime that you can hum, you're right, it will self-regulate. And there is in those stages of sleep in 1 and 2 in that non-REM or rapid eye movement before we go into a deep sleep and dreaming, that is that sweet spot where you're just, I mean, if you look at a pet and they're just starting to like drift off and you can kind of see they're like maybe they have a little jerk or something.
Mhm.
So when you can hum or listen to a meditation or just soothe yourself and say, "Oh, I'm falling asleep. I'm falling asleep." Then you wake up and you're like, I was counting from 15 to 0 and I don't remember when I drifted off. So humming is the same thing. It's a way to calm yourself and go into that sweet spot of peace, which a lot of
Mm.
us are seeking. But yeah, so yeah, I'm glad we talked about that a little bit. And it's just an easy thing to do. I remember my mother-in-law would hum all the time, and I was like, why is she humming? But then I'm like, oh, yeah, she's she's read the
Yeah.
science.
Well, and even if she didn't, right? Like she just found that thing for herself and, knew that it would work. The other
Mhm.
thing, it's such a good time of year to talk about setting your intentions for yourself, but the power of sharing your intentions with others, whether you're doing it now in the new year, because everyone's talking about their New Year's resolutions, and you can be like, I don't need resolutions, or maybe you do, but I'm making sure to reprioritize things, and these are the things that I'm prioritizing in my life. That is a really good thing to share with others to help you stay accountable. And they don't even necessarily have to, be given that task of helping you stay accountable. Simply by sharing it with somebody else, you have set in your own mind that you're like promising that you're going to do this thing. And so for me this year, I know last year I really was on a healing journey, and this year I'm ready to be more productive. But what that means for my intentions is to make sure that I have my foundation set with my sleep. So, and for me, that's an 8 hour sleep window. So I'm doing that. And I'm also doing some good things for my body. So I'm reestablishing a 5,000 a day step, 5,000 steps a day average for my yearly goal. So I'm going to start in on that. I started in on that yesterday, got 7,000 steps in. So
Good.
those are my
Excellent.
two big intentions is to manage my sleep. So I'm saying that not just to you, Barbara, but to everyone watching and anyone who watches the replay of this. Feel free to ask me how
Keep
I'm
you
doing.
accountable. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, everybody throw in, that's a good way to end is like go ahead and share what your little tiny habit might be or what you're just reestablishing, what feels good to you. Again, not any shame or accountability, but just to declare it
Yes,
because that puts the energy into the universe to support you too, whether it be another person or just the angels.
right.
So yourself, right? And then we're going to come back and talk on in February about sexy sleep because we want to establish what things can happen when you have a partner who maybe doesn't
Mm.
sleep well or snores or even the partners that could be four-leggeds that are jumping on the bed and uh you
It's
know
it's sexy sleep, but it's also just like sharing your bed. So like, you might not have the bed to yourself, and what does that mean? And how you navigate that with another person and how you
or
navigate
a
sleep with
little one,
another
little ones wake
creature.
up and they want to sleep with you and then or you have five people in the bed, little ones and a dog and you're like, I don't sleep well, how do we work around that? So we're going to talk about that in February. And if anybody again has any ideas or questions, throw it to us. And we're going to do that on
February
Tuesday
13th.
at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern, and wishing everybody a beautiful, blissful 2024. Sleepblissful.com if you want an opt-in for more sleep tips and all my other programs I'm doing.
That's so cool. Yeah, if anyone is looking for sleep lists to help you with that sound and that moment of trying to get to sleep, that's my website, sleeplists.com. And we are getting ready to launch a new season Saturday. So new episodes starting Saturday.
Excellent. Thanks, Helen. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Barbara. It was so much fun. Thank you, everyone, for watching and tuning in. Not too many comments, but I'm so excited for the replay. And we wish you all the best 2024.
Yes, much, much bliss and lots of sleep.